Hello and welcome to the Season 17 Spanish Grand Prix, round 6 of the new season of STB here on F1 2020, and we're here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia in Spain. We're here at a track which in real life is the proving ground really ahead of the new season, where they do all the testing, the laps, see how the new cars will potentially run in the new season. I am joined again this season by Riggsy X. Riggsy, hello, welcome to Spain. How are you feeling ahead of tonight's Spanish Grand Prix?
Just want to build on your welcome once again, Maldi. It's great to be back. Very much looking forward to Spain. It provides a different kind of challenge for the drivers. We normally have a pre-season here to kind of get, like you were saying, to get the car up and ready for the upcoming season, and now we come here as the sixth round of the season 17 in the STB league. It's not really a track for overtaking as much, so track position is going to be quite important. The step up in terms of the track quality from the last game to the current game is a lot more free flowing in the third sector. There's a lot of issue with the third sector in the last game. I thought they have made the amendments to the final sector to make it a bit more free flowing and a bit easier for the drivers to work their way through. But I mean, it's going to be the most challenging part of the circuit. It is arguably a really quick lap time here because the first two sectors, the average speed is about 100 to 120 miles per hour. Then the third sector's where it's all going to be slowed down. So it really is really a matter of what kind of setup the drivers are going to go for, which I do believe they will aim to have a bit more downforce than originally planned, just to combat the third sector because it is very technical. So I'm very much looking forward to see the lap times once we get some on the board.
Definitely. We had a very interesting race last time out in Netherlands. Very good race in Tier 2 actually. That was a lot of range strategy and safety cars and things. That was a very interesting Grand Prix. What did you make of last week's Dutch Grand Prix in Tier 1 weekly?
It was interesting. It was very different to the approaches that I kind of felt we were going to have going into the race. Track position really did prove to be a lot more important than originally planned. There was very little scope for overtaking, but the race itself, it was good. There was a couple of moments. I was just on board with Sitze, who would probably not want to be reminded of his Dutch GP last time out after his very impactful connection to the barrier on lap 1 through the melee up to the top end of the circuit. The Dutch drivers enjoy this. I don't see them on the leaderboard. And Sitze didn't really have the best showing, which is a shame for them, but we'll be looking forward to seeing them building back up and coming into this race in the full attack. I definitely feel like they'll just come back and try and rebuild in no fault, no take it lying down essentially. So I'll be very interested to see how Sitze performs after his rather disastrous weekend last time. But I mean, the race itself, Maldi, was very interesting to watch. It was very strategical. Like most of the moves were kind of really getting into turn 1, and it was like the broadcast camera got like really sweet shots of the cars just coming out the bank curve at the end and getting up to the top end of the circuit through.
Sorry, car span, Riggsy. Sorry, car span at qualifying. He's off the back end there on the fast right-hander, and he's in the gravel trap. That's not going to do his tyres any good. He didn't really have he hasn't had a very good performance in the season so far. But yeah, Netherlands, some great camera angles. But we're here in Spain, Riggsy, and Kyle has gone in the gravel trap there.
It looked to me that he's maybe just a bit too unsettled through turn 9. Turn 9 is going to be flat in these new and improved Formula 1 motors. But I think maybe he was just kind of pushing the limits because it's still very easy to invalidate your lap, as we see HRC just spinning into the pit lane there as we rode on board with him. He was going to complete a lap, but he just
Riggsy,
dove
sorry.
into the pits.
One thing that I want to put your attention to is Madrid is currently on a set of mediums, and of course Catalonia is very hard on tyres. We know that from previous seasons. How important is the strategy? Do you think the drivers could potentially do better by starting on mediums?
Drivers will really, I'm surprised that the drivers aren't really leaning towards the medium strategy because it is going to be quicker. medium to hard is the ideal strategy here. But seeing most of the drivers already fitting softs on, and with FNT, Kevin and Libero at the top of the timing charts already putting a soft time in, it's going to see them, if they stay in the top 10, they're going to have to start on that. So they're kind of looking to make their intentions clear already from the get-go that they're going for the more aggressive strategy. The soft tyres, if you can really stretch it to about lap 10, you can maybe get 23 laps on the hards, but that's a really big ask, as the tyres here just end up screaming when they're hitting their best by date, because the tyre wear is so heavy here. It's a very abrasive circuit, it's very aggressive on the tyre wear and general grip. But I don't know if they've got a wee trick up the sleeve. I don't know if they're planning something, so it really is interesting to see. We don't have any information about rain, which is a looming threat that we don't know about, or it might just be non-existent. It's a bit like the Pandora's box in a sense, like we don't know what's going to happen, we just kind of have to wait until we open it. No, definitely interesting to see most of the drivers fitting softs on in this early stage of the qualifying session.
Definitely. Titsy then coming out of the chicane, I believe he's on a lap, and he's going to cross the line now. It's going to be P1. Titsy a 14.6, that's a very strong lap time, but is it the right thing to start on soft tyres?
It's really kind of up in the air at this point, because I'm still surprised that we are seeing drivers on the soft tyres from the very start of the session, albeit they're no representative times. Maybe they are just kind of trying to get a feel for the softs in case the softs have to be like a fallback option for their strategy, because you see he's in a 14.6, he's 6/10 quicker than anybody else. That's the kind of benchmark we expect the drivers to be hitting, is a mid-14 to a low 14, and maybe even with drivers like Davies and Bruno Will, like they're drivers that we can see creeping even into the 13s if the lap is a near perfect. So it'll be very interesting to see
Definitely
how they cope with the qualifying.
And Mercury's hit the curb. Mercury tried to cut the corner there, he tried to use too much of the curb, and he has spun out of qualifying, but now he's got to be careful.
He's going to have to kind of be quick. Right, he should be fine. Yes. I see the game is quite harsh on drivers. Like Mercury was doing the sensible thing there. If you caught the incident, just kind of sounded like, for what I got for you was the fact that he just kind of dipped his tyres onto the curb on the inside of two. It's a very slippy curb. It's not really one you want to be hitting the wrong way. If you hit it a certain way, it really helps. But if you hit it even just a fraction off, it just does what happened to Mercury. It just throws you into a spin. Mercury was off the circuit waiting for the drivers to go past, waiting for it to be safe. But I mean, the game, don't know why the game acts in the way it does, but if you don't move or let the car roll, then you'll get disqualified for being parked at a dangerous location, which I don't really understand the gist of. But I've changed the setting from best tyres to fitted. Maritz and Danny, who are their best times are on the mediums in 4th and 5th. Jam's on the softs, is his best time in P6, but he's fitted the mediums, same as his brother Ham. He's on the mediums now, even though he's set a time on the softs, so they're not setting representative times of their pace. Maybe trying to sell some drivers a dummy, and with the looks of it, it could be the fact that the top 3 have already bit into that dummy essentially, because they've put decent times on the soft tyres, and it's going to look very hard to beat on mediums when the times are that low down up at the top of the chart.
Definitely. Billy WF then is on a set of mediums. Let's have a look at his first sector time. 21.2. You want to be really aiming for a 20 if you want to be at the top of the field.
And he looks up into turn 5. You don't really want to be looking up into some of these turns. Again, this is a very free-flowing sector 2 as he comes through turn 7 and 8. It's a very tricky chicane. It's a quick chicane, but the rear end, if you get a bit too trigger happy with the throttle, the squat can throw the car into a bit of an oversteer, and they can easily end up the wall if you get it wrong. Into turn 10, into the third sector, this is the more technical sector. This is where the drivers will be looking to put a bit more downforce on when they can to help combat these tight, tricky turns. And I mean, the new, you can just see there at turn 15, 14, 15 and 16, the final chicane there as well. There's big sausage curbs, and that's to try and prevent the exploitation of track limits through there, so drivers will need to be extra cautious going through there, as we see Billy WF putting a time in that's P5, a 15.7, medium tyres. I'm starting to see a trend for the yellow wall tyres rather than the red. You look at the best, you've got the 4th, 5th and 6th on mediums, you've got Bruno Wills setting up in mediums, he's not put a time in yet. Most of the drivers haven't actually put in a time yet, so they're just waiting right to the end of the session, which is a dangerous game in itself. And then
Yes.
you've got 15 tyres, you've got Jam, Mercury and Ham, 7th, 8th and 9th, setting up for a medium run near the end of the session once the track's at its best.
Yes. Victor McFly Riggsy didn't have a very good race in Netherlands, but he's back at his home race here in Spain. Yeah, do you think that Victor McFly can redeem himself from what happened in Netherlands? Because he didn't have a very good showing.
Oh, sorry, Maldi, just to cut a crochet there. I just jumped on board with Bruno Will, and he was coming through turn 9, and he had Seatsy coming just behind him through turn 9. And he was kind of like just deciding, he was trying to go out the way, but instead of trying to go out the way, he ended up being in the way. So I don't know if that's maybe a bit an aggressive block there for Bruno Will. We didn't really see it at its clearest, but Bruno Will might maybe have some questions to answer at the end of the race. But we'll deflect for that just now, and we'll talk about Victor McFly. Home race normally does help the drivers. Like, you always want to perform well at home, and you always kind of seem to have an advantage at your home circuit. So I'm hoping that he can find a couple of tenths in, purely just knowing the fact this is his home track. He wants to impress. The fans will be kind of cheering him on in the game, as well as on the stream, as well as we've got 9 people watching us currently. So he's going to have some fans in there just wanting him, hoping to do well at his home track. You always want to do well at your home circuit. You don't really want to leave your home faithful disappointed on the day. So I'll hope for some points. I definitely think he's capable of getting some points here.
Yes, I think he's been very unlucky. He's definitely got the pace. He's shown that in the pre-season. He's definitely got the pace, but he just hasn't been able to show that. In the races that he's competing in at the moment. Billy WF though, on a set of mediums, currently P4. That's a decent display from him there. 15.2. That's 7 tenths off Marizzi's quickest time of 1:14.5. Fusion's out on a set of mediums now, Riggsy. But yeah, most drivers are opting for mediums.
And it's maybe just the fact that we've seen some drivers already opting on the softs. We've seen drivers like Maritz and Seatsy maybe just show their hand a bit early in the session with the 14s they've set there. But I definitely don't think the soft tyres really what you want to be starting on. But they've kind of made their bed at this point. They have to kind of lie in it now. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform come the race. But everybody from Jamham down to Davies in 16, you get to set a time. They're all in the medium tyres. Big yellow wall there from P8 to 16. You've got HRC, Billy WF already setting their times on the mediums. And if you go from 50, everybody's on the mediums. But the best times that have been set, the top 3 are on soft tyres, and Libero and P5 is also on the soft tyres. So if it stays the way it is, that's the tyres that we're starting on, which in my professional opinion kind of puts them on the back foot in terms of strategy.
Well, it might make sure that we have some sort of battle in the strategy can cause an upset maybe. That's what we want as spectators. So I think it's definitely good to have different strategies going on in the field with it. So it's good to see. Kevin's coming on then to finish his lap. It's going to be the 15. It's going to be a 15 dead. It's going to be P3 still. So he's not really got that much pace. I'm quicker than him at the moment. So, round Spain. So promising.
Packing some speed.
Promising for Tier 2 tomorrow. Mercury started himself from in a P6. He's been confident ahead of this race, Riggsy. He's had a few gear paddle difficulties recently. Not going to jinx it, but I do hope that they are resolved for the Grand Prix. VC then, Riggsy, currently on a lap. Well, I just want to talk about VC because in the actual World Time Trial event before the season, Riggsy, when all the drivers are actually put into the order for who's the quickest in the league and not, VC actually came out as the third quickest driver out of the 40 that were the initial starting lineup. And he's nearly getting blocked there from Mercury. But yeah, he was the third quickest, Riggsy. So he's not really shown that really this season. He's been in the midfield really, but yeah, hopefully he can redeem himself in these European races.
It's the European season is really kind of is really the kind of time of the season where we really get to fully understand what quality the drivers bring to the league and what they bring to their own teams. The first 5 flyaways, so like your Australia, Bahrain, China, Vietnam, and the Netherlands. I mean, the Netherlands is the kind of the start of the European round, but you kind of still count as a flyaway because it's a new circuit. So you kind of use the first 3 or 4 races to kind of just try and find a rhythm with your car, try and find a rhythm with the competitors that you're driving and competing against. And it's just a matter of actually just seeing where you weigh up in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's really it's a marathon at the end of the day. The season is a very hefty season, and I mean one bad race is going to happen. Everybody's going to run into one bad race at some point, but you don't really want to make that a recurring theme of your season, or it's going to be over before it really gets started. But the European start is really when everybody regards their season to officially kick off in a sense, because they know the circuits, they know what they're capable of, they know the speeds, they know the quality, and they can really properly test themselves on familiarised circuits, because the European season is arguably the most well-known part of the season anyway, so
yeah,
there's a great history there as well, so that definitely aids the drivers as well. But he is currently 9th, he retired in 9th, and I feel like his lap was compromised by Mercury and Kevin in that final sector. Mercury did his best to get out of the way, but you seen him looking up a break getting into turn 10. We just get a bit flustered getting into the braking zone. Jamham does go P8 and he backs off, so he's not going to be improving for there. Hamjam, his brother, though, up into P3, and he's kind of competing with the soft runners at the front. He's just marginally off. Davison is tucking him just behind him. Bruno Will with P5, so Hamjam looking in a really strong position with the P3 on 3 lap old mediums though, so tyre wear may kind of be a factor in his race. We've got a tyre conservation near the end of the stint. But looking at the current grid, Maldi, the soft runners in Maritz and Seatsay, doesn't really look like they'll be changing. Seatsay does stay in second place once the checkered flag falls, and it looks to be Maritz will be on pole, but for them to really maximise their strategy, they're going to need a safety car about lap 5, 6 and jump onto the hards then, and then go a 2 lap period, 3 lap period, just saving fuel, saving tyres and getting the car up to temperature, and then you can go for a long stint to the end if you can manage the tyres. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Mariz has done an incredible lap time, Riggsy. 3/10 clear over STB Zitzi, so Mariz is on pace at the moment, but he's on quite a bad strategy if we look at it closely there. He's on a set of softs. A lot of drivers in the top 10 have opted for mediums, and when they're outside the top 10, they're going to opt for a fresh set of mediums. So, Riggsy, I think we're in for a very good race strategically tonight.
Definitely. I'm starting to think that maybe the front row isn't really where you want to be, because it's such a long run down to turn 1 as well. It's going to give Ham and Davies and Bruno Will, maybe even Kevin if he's going to get a good launch on the softs, a good powerful slipstream down to turn 1, and it's a very tight 1-2 and then a long sweeping right for turn 3, so we could expect to see Maritz and Seatsay under some severe pressure if the medium runners behind can get a decent launch off the grid slot.
I mean, it's a very long straight at Mugello as well, Riggsy. We know what happened when the safety car yesterday at that circuit, so we're hoping that none of that happens this season at Spain, because, you know, it's scary. But here in Spain, Riggsy, Mariz is on pole position here for the Spanish Grand Prix, 3/10 clear of STB Zitzi there in P number 2. Third is Hamjam in a good position, but there's on my on my screen, he's done 3 laps. So it looks like he's got more worn tyres than Davies in. Davies in P4. 5th is Bruno Wilrigsy. Quite disappointing, actually. We wouldn't really expect Bruno Will to be P5, sorry.
It's not really where we expect him to be, knowing how quick he can be, but it really does play into the hands of his teammate quite well, knowing that his teammate is going to be behind him. So it gives Ham a slight edge, but Bruno Will is always quite crafty in the race, so it'll be really interesting to see how he manages his start and how he kind of keeps going on the mediums and how he manages the mediums and plans his pit stop strategy around that. Ham does have the slight deficit on slightly worn tyres, but the mediums can last quite well. You're looking at the pit window about lap 12 to 14, and then you can go on the hards to the end. Anyway, or like you might want to try and push that so you've got fresher hards at the end if you want to plan an assault on the drivers and try and get the best result. It's going to be interesting. Quite a lot in there, and it's all up there for theorising and such. We don't really know in terms of pinpoint accuracy what the strategy is going to be, but it's definitely there to ponder.
It looks like it's going to be a dry race by the looks of the skies.
Definitely the Spanish sun be shining, and you can see the shadow being cast by the pit lane, the hospitality suites and the garages and everything else. It looks to be clear.
So let's have a look then, Rigsy at the race director. Let's see what the drivers are going to be opting for. So, mediums for everyone apart from Libero, Kevin, Zitzi and Mariz. Okay.
Oh, and
5th.
DJ Danny. Oh, sorry.
5th, Rigsy will. 6th is Kevin Rigsy, reserve from 2 full-time reserve. He went last time out in Netherlands, so I think the practice did really help him. 7th will be Libero Rigsy, he's up there, but he's on softs. 8th is Billy. 9th is Jamham. 10th is VC. 11th will be Mercury. 12th will be HRC. 13th, when he's home race, will be Victor McFly. 14th, Fusion. 15th, DJ Danny. Rigsy, what was you going to say about DJ Danny?
Only driver to select the hard tyres, planning to go long on the first stint and be quick at the end. So that's a slight curveball to the grand scheme of the strategy. He'll be planning to go long. Don't really, with respect to DJ Danny, we'll not really expect him to be too quick off the start or generally quick at the start unless something chaotic happens. Knock on wood, everybody kind of gets through safe and cleanly, but DJ Danny, I feel like will only really start to gain and be a prominent member of the race round about the soft stop window, lap 6-7. Drivers might try and stretch that to 10. It really does depend, but DJ Danny just planned to go long, which is interesting. He just has to keep his wing clean, keep his nose clean.
I think Rigsy, Danny is like quite quick off the start from what I remember. So I mean, he does have very good starts and he's able to pick himself, you know, a good position to be in for the actual start. So yeah, best of luck to Danny here on the start.
Definitely, I think like if he can get a few places, he can definitely ruffle a few feathers. Maybe like if Toxic Fusion or Victor McFly don't really get a good start, if HRC kind of slips back, maybe even if Mercury doesn't really get a good run on the Haas drivers in front, then DJ Danny can find himself up next to his teammate if the cards were to fall in place. But at the same time, we've got Spinner on the formation lap. Toxic Fusion took the wee trip through the grass at turn 11. And I seen Maritz doing the same thing at turn 7 and 8. The wee chicane, the tyres really no getting gripped down onto the asphalt just yet. So it'll be interesting to see how the start goes. I keep saying interesting, it definitely is interesting if you see drivers struggling to get some heat into the tyres. But I'm going to let DJ Danny and Kyle come through to take their grid slots at the back of the grid, and I'll pass it to you for the start.
There is then. These tyres are going to be getting very cold under the lights here for the Spanish Grand Prix, the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia, in España, in Spain, ready for round 6 of STB 17. Rigsy, who's going to win?
We'll go for Bruno Will. We'll see.
Bruno Will. Here we go then. It's 2 lights, it's 3 lights, it's 4 lights, it's 5 lights for the Spanish Grand Prix. There, lights down, away they go. Great start there from Mariz. He's got off the line decently well there. He leaves the pack. Third is Davison. He's been able to get the jump on Hamjam there. And he's now got slipstream on Zitzi. He's going to go up the inside of the Renault. He's going to have a little bit of a go. There's a little bit of battling going on at the back there. We've got the McLarens and the Alfa Romeos. They're getting involved. We've got Mercury now around the outside of Billy WF. It's quite a clean start, Riggsy. Danny's down to 16th. So he's got VIP seats for this start. HRC's battling there with the Alfa Romeo, 3 wide nearly there. The Red Bull, the Alfa Tauri there. Mercury's had a bit of a back end problem. He's had a bit of a mistake there. Jam Hammy at the front. He's battling in his heart. He's rounding outside. So up the inside of Billy there. So he's got a good move there, and he's got the overtake done. There you go. P8 for Hamjam. 7th is Libero. He's dropped back. 6th is Kevin. 5th is Hamjam, Riggsy. He's lost 2 places off the race start.
And that's probably going to come down to the slight increase in tyre wear. He's got no getting the car launched that he wanted off the grid slot, so he's having to struggle with being behind his teammate, even though he had the advantage in terms of actual track position. Bruno Will just seemed to get a smooth launch off P5, and Davidson's the same. Both of them, both Brazilians, jumping the Brit on the start. So Hamjam will probably just be planning to sit and settle in behind the slipstream in the dirty air his teammate and hope that he can just tow him along, and both Mercedes can launch an attack on the front in a couple of laps time once the softs really start dropping in performance.
Right then, so we're on lap 3 apparently of the Spanish Grand Prix. First is apparently Mercury, ladies and gentlemen. That's an incredible start there from Mercury. But actually, it's Mariz. He's in P3. We're looking at the strategy now, Riggsy. Apparently, it's 2-stopper, apparently. That's live.
A 2-stop would probably be more aligned to the soft runners in my personal opinion. I feel like the medium runners will just try and stretch to about 14, 15 max, and then just jump on the hards for there, try and maybe just fall under half race distance and then switch tyres. I'm on board with Seat saying that Senna's a free stop's a possibility as well. So the strategy really is like that sporadic. We don't really know what it is, if that's what the game's going to be telling us, what the information's going to be telling us. It's just going to be a matter of how the drivers perform on the tyres that they've given themselves for the race and when they're going to hit. It really does come down to strategy here in Spain, because overtaking is extremely limited.
Yes, definitely. Sorry, Zitzi then 6/10 behind Mariz, but Mariz looks like he's really burnt right there. I think Mariz is trying to get out of that DRS window, Riggsy.
Maritz really he does have full control in a sense, because he's got clean air. Everybody else behind him, up to FNT Kevin and P6, they're all going to be experiencing the dirty air. So if he can keep them, if he can slow it down in the third sector, have them lose the downforce and the grip from the front end of the car, and then just punch it out the final chicane into the final turn, ERS deployed and the engine up to rich, then he can stretch his legs down that straight while Seatsy's left to fend for Davison and Bruno Will, and even Hamjam there just waiting like prey on like predators waiting for their prey. That's all Seatsy is to the Mercedes drivers and to the Williams driver of Davison. It's just a matter of waiting for these 3 drivers, 3rd, 4th and 5th on the mediums. They're in prime position here, but Maritz can easily just put Seatsy in the back foot, so Seatsy is kind of left on his own here in terms of actual like mind games and strategy.
Libero then, Riggsy, lost the position to Jamham here. He's now in P8 and he's now under pressure from HRC and Billy. They come through the first sector, a bit of a train going on here. So Libero's really losing pace, Riggsy. He's not really having a good season, is he? He's 6th for him at the moment. Davidson fast up for the race, he's on it. But Zitzi's on it now, here we go. DRS. Oh, wait, another lap.
And we've got Libero just getting jumped with both McLarens there down to turn 1, so Libero really just kind of gone backwards at this stage. It's really been, it's a great shame for him as he runs wide through turn 3 as well. Please rejoin safely, which does still stay really there. But we've got Mercury getting up the inside of Toxic Fusion into turn 4 as they're going to go side by side again. Toxic Fusion's going to have the inside for turn 5. He opts to back out and just settle in behind. But as you were saying, Maldy, Libero really no having the kind of season we expect him to have. He won last season in Silverstone and then just had this flourishing run, strong results and podiums and a good points haul generally. Then the end of the season he just kind of hit the dip again, and it's just really no came back to him. I really hope that he can find some kind of rhythm once the European season kind of gets underway. But just
Oh,
on
Danny's
Barlow
sorry,
for
he's inside of
starting
picking up fly. Danny's making some progress, Riggs. He's up in the P14 now.
This is really going to be his kind of time now. Like, we're going to see once he gets the hard tires up and running, it's just a matter of settling in the dirty air. Oh, as he sees Kyle look up into the chicane, and Kyle's just making a right dog's dinner of that final chicane. So Kyle will be a sitting duck to Danny, even if he has DRS, which he does not. So Danny should have this relatively easily down into turn 1. He doesn't even make it. He makes the move work before the pit lane exits, even in show. So DJ Danny up into P13, just kind of cycling his way through the field. Hard tyres really might be probably one of the smarter choices in terms of the starting tyre, so it'll be interesting to see how he catches up to Toxic Fusion Liberal, who will be falling back with excessive grading of tyre, and now even Mercury if he can't get any work on the two McLarens in front. It really is all to play for at the back end of the field.
A driver Riggs that I'm looking at the moment is Davizin. This is an incredible performance from him. He is looking quick behind it to him. Bruno Will is keeping that gap as well, so he's very close. But even Hamjam as well, he's keeping within that gap, so it's going to be a great battle for the actual victory later on in the race.
Definitely. Sitze is kind of keeping in with Moritz as well, so Sitze kind of maybe is catching on to what Mari's trying to do at the front. Sitze just kind of keeping close. You can see how close he is. We're on board the Williams and BP as we are watching Sitze close in on Mari's into turn 1. Is he going to get close enough for a late lunge, or is he going to have to settle for being in behind? He's just going to have to settle for being P2 for another lap. So far as we've seen, Moritz picking up a penalty for that. That's his multiple warnings, so that's him getting a penalty for exploiting the track limits and trying to find small advantages along the way. So Moritz will be pulled off once too many times already, and he's picked up a penalty. And penalties will have a big factor on the end of the race as well. We'll try and avoid that just so we can kind of keep the suspense.
Oh, Libero's gone wide, Riggsy. Sorry, Libero's gone wide. And Carl's got the overtake done on him. Carly's struggling on those soft tyres.
I think we should see Libero coming in. He needs to kind of think about. I don't think if he's just going to constantly lose places hand over fist, then we'll really need to see him come in at this lap or the next lap at the very latest for a set of hard tyres, and just hope for a safety car or a VSC just to try and get him back into it in some capacity. He's just dropping like a stone at this point, Maldi. I think a pit stop might be due for the Williams team.
Going back onto the straight. Zitzi then, he's got the DRS once again, Riggsy, but is it going to be enough? He's using all his overtake. And here we go, he's close to never before. He's close to never before. He's going to couple to the outside line, all the way around the outside.
And he gets it. Round the outside into turn 1, sees Sitze take the lead in the Spanish Grand Prix on lap 7, but Mari's has to take the line down, and he's just going to take Sitze's place right behind, and he'll just be using this time to save his DRS and launch an attack once again back down to turn 1. Turn 1's where we're going to really see it kicking off, but we're seeing plumes of smoke being kicked up by the front left of the Renault in front, so Sitze looking up a break into turn 5, no really going to do too much for these tyres. But what this is crucially doing, Maldi, this battle between the two leaders on the soft tyres, on the different strategy, is keeping the medium runners at bay. Like, they're not able to get close enough to try and get by, split the two of them, maybe even take the lead and just stretch their legs at the front and run off with it. They're stuck behind these two soft runners, so it's really pushing them into Jamham, who's just kind of slowly making his way from P9, where he started, to P6. And he is 2.5 seconds behind, but that gap is slowly closing. But we see Sitze coming at the pits, so it is just going to be Mari's, and this should be easy money for the Brazilian Davizin as he's got a run. But Mari's does have DRS, and he is using everything that he's got left in the tank to keep the place, so they're going to have to just settle for being behind again for another lap, Maldi. But it is Mari's, it is still leading, and you can just see the wee train for the lead. Then it's a 2.5 second gap to Jamham and P5 for the Haas. Kevin is just keeping in close touch there with the Haas driver for P5. The two McLarens ready 7th and 8th, and Mercury is closing in once again on the two McLarens as well. So a wee battle for first and a wee battle for 5th is beginning to form, and then you got another wee train for P10 with Toxic Fusion, Danny, Kyle and Zitze, and then you have Victor McFly, Zitze and KF Liberal all kind of running their own race somewhat at the back with a 6.5 second gap, 3 second gap, with 12.5 second gap, and Liberal is into the pits trying to provide some damage limitation to his own race. It really just hasn't been the start he would have looked for. He just kind of went backwards. He had the soft tyre advantage off the start, but he just went backwards as we see Mary's come into the pits there on lap 8. Davison takes the lead and he's got the 2 Mercedes line astern, so it's team tactics for here, Maldi. Maldi. Anyway, I'll just continue until I hear Maldi's voice, so we'll see what happens with that. Please do not be alarmed. But it is Davison who is leading the race, and this battle for the top 3 really is kind of just taking. This is kind of at the forefront now. Like, this is Davison's race to kind of run at the front. He was having to settle for being in behind yellow flags in sector 3, and that's Liberal just retiring in the pit lane. Just wasn't really the race that he was looking for. It was just a start that meant he was going backwards from P7 in the grid. It was a really good, strong qualifying result from Liberal, but it really just hasn't been the kind of performances that we see from him so regularly and so frequently from last season. He's really had a bit of a tumultuous start to his season 17 campaign, so we really hope that we can see him up and running. We're only going to be here. I'm aware that we're off for a week next week, so it'll be in a fortnight's time. We will be in the Principality for the Monaco GP, the crown and the Formula 1 calendar, and that is going to be one that you'll be wanting to tune in for Monday. Probably that is. I will get some more information on that. It's 7 o'clock British Standard Time, the normal time for the STB League to be running. We are going to be just being aware. I'll see if Maldi is back. I don't really know where he's went, but he's not really said that he's went anywhere else. You've been really quiet for me, Maldi. I thought you completely disappeared there.
Sorry, I'd like to apologise to the viewers. I've been having a few battery issues again. So, sorry, I think it's now sorted. I see Ham Jam's up in the B3 here, so it looks like we've had the pit stops. From Kevin and Zitze, both in P13 and 14. Okay, Carl picks up a 3 second time penalty. Rixie, Davison in 7th for Bruno Will.
He's got the command now, Maldi. He's not got the 2 sufferers on Maris and Zitze in front of him, so Davison can really kind of control the pace. And that same strategy I was talking about with Mari, he was like kind of backing everybody up through this. He could have backed everybody up through the 3rd sector and get them unsettled on the exit while he can just punch it. Looks to be what Davison doesn't really need to date too much, but he's always strong enough through the 3rd sector to make sure that Bruno Will doesn't really get a look in on the Brazilian into turn 1. So one Brazilian's keeping another at bay at the front, and Hamjam he's doing extremely well to keep in line with his teammate in front, and Davison in P1 as well, and he's just there waiting, biding his time as well. It's a game of cat and mouse, really. It's just a game of waiting to see what really happens between the 3, but what's crucially going to be a matter of like kind of thinking about Maldi is the Mercedes pit stop, because they'll have to be watching over their shoulder to see if they're really going to trip over each other in the pit stops. Bruno will have the right of way purely on track position, but
yeah, the
Hamjam just has to be watching.
Warn a little bit as well on Hamjam's end. Can't
and
see.
Looking, yep, done 3 laps on those medium tyres as well. He was just kind of getting a feel for the tyres and qualifying. He done like laps consecutively, and it was cutting up at the end of the day. But what Hamjam needs to be watching is his teammate coming through that final chicane to see if he does slow down enough to dart to the right into the pit lane, or whether he just stays on the main racing line and goes for another lap. I think we're about lap 13, 14, maybe even 15 at a stretch. We're really going to see some pit action for the medium runners. So it really is just a matter of watching what Hamjam does in response to his teammate. Maybe he'll try an undercut if Bruno Will doesn't, so that's going to be interesting to watch as well. And if I was Hamjam, I'd think about the undercut, maybe I wouldn't like come in too early. Try and see if you can wager in how long the two drivers in front are going to be gone for, and then come in just a lap before. Yellow flags in sector 1. Maldi seems to be a racing point.
Kevin, I think that was. Oh, unfortunate. Don't know what happened. I think he span in the first few corners, maybe the curb on turn 2.
And the turn 2 curb was quite brutal at the best of times. Like, it can easily unsettle the car. Like, there's quite a lot of turns on this circuit that can really throw you off if you're not on your full guard. Like, you know, I'm just involved with Kyle. 4, 7 and 8 is the same. That's multiplication there. Turn 9 normally is.
He got damage.
He's got damage. He's got damage. He wasn't taking 9 flat there, or at least like 90% throttle. He's got damage to his front right end plate, so he'll be coming in for a pit stop as well. So
was there a collision maybe between those two drivers? I don't know.
And sorry, Maldi, we've got some pit lane action. It's a smidge earlier than I anticipated there. It is lap 13, and we've got Ham Jam and Davison in the pits. Jam Ham's in the pits as well. Billy WF in the pits as well for McLaren, and we're going to see the 4 drivers just.
Davison needs to, he needs to stay ahead of Victor McFly there. Otherwise, now he's got clean air. Car's got cars out of the race. That's in the pit lane though, so it won't be a safety car here in Spain. I was about to say, Mugello then. Yes, I think this is a great opportunity for Davison here. P7, he's got clean air, pressure hard. Will be the defensive move that he needs to stay ahead of Bruno Will. Locals in the pit lane.
Definitely,
Bruno Will.
Too surprised to see him come in. Yep, that was definitely going to be the call from Mercedes. They don't want to leave themselves. They don't want to leave themselves exposed to an undercover. What's crucial here, Maldi, is the Mercedes garage is right at the front. If Mercury can come in before Bruno Will comes out, which he does not, I was getting a bit hyped there for no reason there. But the Mercedes garage being right at the front of the pit lane means that he would get held up if people were to follow him in, so that could throw a spanner into the works. But is it going to make Bruno Will take the lead with that extra lap? He's going to have to settle for in behind, but both of them crucially just getting in front of Seatsay and Maris, who are battling for P6. Seatsay goes running outside again and makes the same move onto Maris into turn 1, running outside on lap 4, and then running outside again on lap 14. But if you're looking at this, it looks to be Ham Jam that's really lost out in terms of the pit stop, because he's ended up behind Seatsay and Maris, whereas Bruno Will and Davison have ended up in front. So that Ham Jam's got a bit extra on his plate to try and cut his way through and back up to where he originally was in P3, well, not P3. So,
but will Seatsay and Maris have to pit again?
They will probably try and go to the end, but their tyres will have a significant level of wear, so I don't expect them to maybe. They'll get to like the end, but they'll have really short tyres. So the pace drop that they'll have with the worn hards will be enough to push them down the order once it hits about lap 28, 29 maybe. That's kind of when we'll see them properly hitting a dip in performance on this, the hard tyres. And Ham Jam will just be, he'll not be wanting to wait that long to make a move, he'll be wanting to make the move as soon as he can. They are keeping, Seatsay is keeping in the DRS range of Bruno Will, but Ham Jam's want to cut through these two and get back up to where he was and be ready for any kind of surprise attack or plan a strategic assault on the two drivers in front to try and get the win for himself. That's the only way he's going to get a win. I think if he's patient enough, he'll still get the podium. But if he wants to kind of get himself back in contention for the win like he was on the first stint, as he gets the slide on through 7 and 8.
Yeah, he's really pushing hard now, really pushing hard now.
Definitely don't. I'm sitting there and I'm sitting here talking about him how he has to go by Maurice and Seatsay to try and get himself back to where he was, and then he has that slide through 7 and 8. I don't want to go throwing any kind of commentator's cuss on him, so I'll be quiet now. So just let him get down to business and see if he can get past the two drivers in front.
He's done one lap on the hards.
he just pitted. He pitted on lap 13. It should be 2 once he crosses the line because it'll be 2 racing laps.
I'm getting confused. I thought he pitted ages ago.
He pitted at the start of 13, I think. I don't know why it's saying 2 now that I'm thinking about it. It should say 3 because it should count the outlap as your first racing lap, technically.
Oh, that's why then. That's why then. Okay. I was getting confused. I'm not used to the spectator cam on this game. It's very glitchy. P5 then, Riggsy, is Mariz. He's back up 5 there after his quite long time away from the front pack. Third is Bruno Will, but Danny is leading the Grand Prix, Riggsy, but his tyres are very worn at this moment.
Definitely, he'll be coming into the pits about lap 19-20, set of mediums. If he's really want to be ambitious, it will be around 25-26 for a set of softs. It will just be a matter of tyre management. Should expect to see the Alpha driver on a set of mediums in about lap 19-20, so a few laps time before we see him coming back into the pits.
See what his time is? 19.1. Davidson's lap was an 18.5, so Davidson's looking very quick compared to Bruno Will. But Bruno Will, here we go. We've got the double moving down the straight to break the slipstream. We had that in China, I believe, a lot. So we've seen that a lot in China and quite a lot in Netherlands actually, where Davidson was trying to just break that slipstream as much as possible. Not as much at Netherlands though, due to the short straight. But yeah, Riggsy, I mean, it's always good to see drivers that are eager to keep their position. Second is Davidson.
Definitely, it is always nice to see some healthy competition. Fun but fair is what I like to say. I like to see that on the track. Like, I like to see drivers fighting with a bit of vigour and like a bit of aggression in terms of trying to keep their place, as long as they keep it within the boundaries of the rules as well. So it's good to see sportsmanship and respect between all the drivers on the field, and that's why we get such top quality racing when we get it. Like when we see drivers going side to side, or late moves into a hairpin or whatever. That's the mutual respect that drivers have for each other in this league that allows these moves to happen. So it's great to see that it's so high. But talking about moves, is Bruno Will going to get close enough for a move into turn 1? He is getting closer.
He is in the slipstream, but yeah, it's not going to be good enough. You need to be, I think, at least maybe like 4 tenths, maybe. Not maximum, maximum 4 tenths coming out the final corner. Get close, and the DRS to actually take effect. Some tracks even shorter due to it's not very effective on this game, DRS. Where the dirt is obviously more prominent. It's very prominent around this circuit.
Definitely, like, you're really wanting to, as hard as it is for the drivers, you really want to get tucked in underneath the rear wing of the driver in front to make sure you can launch your attack into turn 1. If you're brave enough, you can try turn 10, but you need to go through 9 flat with a light car and decent tyres to even kind of get the move on for consideration, never mind to get it done. So
Fusion's out. Fusion's crashed there. He's crashed out. I believe that's turn 10 flat. He's got turn 9. Sorry, he's crashed out off the Spanish Grand Prix. He's out. Riggsy, and he's parked in a very dangerous position. Where's the safety car? Safety car has been deployed. This is big news for. I was going to say this is big news for DJ Danny, but it's not.
It could have been, but it's
this is
not,
absolutely wrecked his chances. VC's in then. VC's in the pit lane. He's coming on a fresh set of mediums. They just helped Victor McFly as well, Riggsy. P13, 13 seconds behind VC.
It gets them back to the end of the train. The safety car is going to be floating around turn 3, where you'll see it on the mini-map there. You'll just see it slowly coasting around the long sweeping right-hander in the first sector. So you see McFly will need to pass the safety car and catch up to the queue. But
For restart for Danny.
this is going to allow, which is interesting, Maldi. I mean, the intervals are sporadically between 1.5 seconds average across the top 10.
Yeah.
Looking at the top 10, the gaps are about 1.5 seconds average, but some are closer to others or some are further than others. But Danny can come into the pits this lap, set of mediums, and he'll abide by the pit lane limit of 60 miles per hour, but when he exits, there's no speed limit. So this can really be crucial if he can come in and get some work done. Davidson's in as well, Maldi. Davidson's coming into the pits. Off the hard
This is
tyres.
as well. A lot of drivers actually in the pit lane, we'd say.
This is interesting. Oh, I'm quite... DJ Danny can come out in third. On mediums. Which he is. Oh, he's fourth. So, Danny has won massively for everybody coming into the pits. He's in fresh mediums, right behind his teammate. Mercedes 1-2, Alpha 3-4, Davison 5th. This is setting itself up pretty nicely, if I'm saying so myself.
Mercury, though, could be on for a podium here, we'd say. Second podium of the season.
Definitely could be in contention for a podium. It really helps Hamjam as well for everybody pitting in, because it means he's right behind his teammate again and puts him in a prime position as well. Puts him back on the podium as it stands, but what he's got to be wary, as will Bruno Will and Mercury will be, is that everybody behind is on a set of fresh, brand new, just out the cover medium tyres. No a scratch, no a mark, no a dent, brand new soft medium tyres on every car from 4th to 13th. So, Mercedes missed the trick.
Crazy scenes. But Mercury, you know, imagine it, you know, Hamdan and Bruno will slow each other down. Mercury has got decent pace around this track. He could be on it for potential race victory here. You know, anything can happen. I'm saying that all the unexpected happens in STB. I'm just hoping, Rigsby, that it's right that Bruno will just not hold the pack up till this very point when the safety car comes in.
He's going to have to watch the safety car restart anyway, because he's going to have to slow everybody down through sector 3. It's not really a prime overtaking zone for any of the drivers, but he is going to be just anticipating everybody getting really bunched up behind his Mercedes, really having to slow down, let the car roll at like 20 miles, 30 miles per hour, and he's just going to hook the car into Rich, punch the ERS button, and he's going to launch his cell out of turn 15 down the straight, and that's how he's going to get, that's how he's going to put his teammate on the back foot, and he's going to be left with Mercury, DJ Danny, Davison, all there on fresh tyres, ready to pounce when they've got the slightest sniff of a chance.
I'm very scared, Rigsy, because where's the safety car line? Because yesterday was very scary in the actual race, and it's the same sort of like straight, you know, it's very long. So Bruno will want to decrease any opportunity for Hamjam or Mercury, or even Danny, to get the slipstream.
The safety car line will always be, for most circuits, it's the start-finish line, but you can go before that. Like, if you can shape yourself up for a launch through turn 15, that's exactly what we're going to see. It really is just a matter of when the safety car comes in. You can't overtake until the start-finish line anyway. I think that is the rule. So, I mean, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah,
you have to wait to the start-finish line before you can overtake again, but you can go once the safety car's in at a certain point, and I think that certain point here is on the exit of the chicane and before turn 15, so that's when I'm going to expect Bruno Will to just punch it and go for it off the corner, down the big straight, and try and build a gap and knock off his teammate in close pursuit. And are we going to see it here? That's away, he's off, he's bolted.
Oh my, wow, what a start there from Bruno Will, but Danny's now on the back. Oh, HRC!
The Alphas. The HRC's off. Oh, and Danny up the inside, his teammate into turn 1. Mercury probably just thinking twice this is his battle DJ Danny is going to go on the heels of Ham Jam. Fresh mediums against still some fresh hards, in my opinion. I think 8 laps are still pretty healthy. So the two Mercedes will be the next 2 targets. And I don't know, Maldy, are we going to see some team play for the Alpha team here? Are we going to see Mercury maybe try and hod Davison up, Seatsay up, try and back them up into each other and allow his teammate to just run after the Mercedes and try and chase a potential victory?
It's going to be difficult because, of course, Danny will have to overtake Ham Jam and Bruno Will. The Mercedes lineup are the favourite for the Constructors' Championship. As we've got some side-by-side action, Mariz and Zitz have been battling all race. Rigsy around the outside. T's going to push him wide there, and that's you know, decent defending there from the Renault. He had a bad Dutch Grand Prix. He wants some good points here in Spain.
Seatsay just hanging Maurice out to dry off the exit at turn 11, so I think that was perfectly fair. It was quite firm for the Renault driver, just saying, this isn't going to work, son, you're going to have to wait for your move. And Maurice is making a move to defend the Jam Ham. He's going to run outside, get inside of turn 2. Is he going to try and hold it run outside a turn 3? He does not. Jam Ham really looked at punch there. I was about to switch off him Maurice there back up to the front to see what was happening, and then I didn't even ken Jam Ham was there ready to go run outside and so nearly made it work, but he's just going to have to settle behind. But he's pushing Maurice into all kinds of mistakes and lock-ups. A big plume of smoke just comes off the front left into turn 5, and I see a lot of drivers kind of looking up into turn 5 as well, Maldy. So drivers really no kind of confident with their car slowing down in turn 5, and it's the same with turn 10 as well. So 2 quite heavy braking zones are going to be a real strain on the brakes.
Turn 5 the hairpin.
Turn 5 is the hard left in the second sector. The hairpin I meant was turn 10. Apologies for that. I was talking about the 2 separate corners. That's where I've been seeing a lot of the lock-ups happen.
Oh yeah. It's hard braking. You know, the driver's got to really get the braking right. Obviously, quite hot as well. Probably very hot, the tyres and the brakes at the moment. They need to try and cool them down. Beasley's best method for the race, 17.6. But he's in P11, Rigsy. He's not really showing it at the moment.
I think it might just be a matter of trying to salvage some kind of recognition, some respect for himself, and just get some points. Like if he can get Billy WF and FNT Kevin for P9, he'll take that quite gracefully, and we'll see him in Monaco, and then that's a prime chance for somebody to get their first win, because Monaco's going to be a real racy attrition, and it'll just be a matter of how many times you make contact with the wall, because I feel like even the best drivers make the simplest mistakes. So that'll be an interesting race to watch. So we hope that these are pretty much with us when we're in Monaco, and you said it was 2 weeks' time. We've got a week off coming.
Yes, I'm very, very looking forward personally to be in Monaco. The next race, it's going to be an absolute madness in Monaco. But Ham Jam now is going to have DRS races. This is where the battle is really going to commence now.
And he's not really using his ERS just yet.
Mercury's under pressure, Rigsy. Mercury's under pressure from Davison as well.
And
no, can't do it.
Davison not really getting close enough to Mercury to try and make a move. It's the same issue, even on fresher tyres. It's the dirty air through the third sector that's picking the drivers off, kind of hitting their confidence a wee bit, because you need to be right behind the driver in front to make any real kind of move. And if it is just going to be one big streamlined DRS train, then we're not going to see any real moves, because everybody's got the same benefit, and for a lack of a better way of describing it, because everybody's got DRS, everybody's got some ERS in the tank. They've all got the extra 160 horsepower advantage. They've all got the same DRS activation system on their rear wings, which provide an extra 8-10 kilometers per hour in a straight line, and the dirty air helps the slipstream. And if you've all got a slipstream, you're not going to get that advantage. The only person that really loses out on the big straight, if he's under pressure, is Bruno Will, because he's no got DRS, he's no got the dirty air in front to help tow him along essentially. So he's going to be left piercing the hole through the air for everybody else just to sit in and tuck in behind. So he's still got that advantage.
Yeah, Hamjam gains like 4 or 5 tenths down that straight, and he loses it all in the sectors due to dirty air. So it's insane, around some of these circuits. I'm thinking as well, another circuit, Hungary is going to be a difficult one when we go to that circuit. France maybe. So yeah, it's going to be difficult at some races. So I think it's good practice for the drivers to know what it's like dirty air. Obviously, he said use the first few races to gauge what the car's going to be like, how the car runs, what the drivers are like, who you're battling. And it's just getting a feel for the game. As he said, we're 2 months in, but that's not a very long time, realistically. But yeah, Hamjam then is closer this lap, Riggsy, so we've probably seen a little move happening here based on how much he gained.
He clipped the curb there, it doesn't seem to do too much damage. He is 7 tenths of a second, and Bruno Will knows he's going to be under pressure. He's all the way to the right hand side. He might as well give every pit crew mechanic there a wee wave as he goes by because he was that close. But once again, just no close enough. And again, it's the same advantage you were talking about, Maldi. It's the same 4 tenths of a second. He gets down that straight and he's just got nothing else really there. I don't think the straight really is long enough for Hamjam. He needs to if he can cut another couple of tenths, if he can cut another tenth off through the third sector and be like 6 tenths behind, it can be like 2 tenths. He can be there for a wee look, a wee peep up the inside, turn 1. That's the only time it's really going to happen. He needs to kind of just close it in, take that half-second margin that he's got right now. If he can keep that through the third sector, then he can be in prime shape for a move into turn 1. But he's going to have DJ Danny there, who's in that exact same position and is arguably slightly better due to the medium tyres and the fact that his deficit isn't as great as Hamza's teammate. So it's really interesting. DJ Danny has just been looking to biding his time. As Davison actually does get by Mercury, we completely missed that. But Davison and Danny, I think that might be a slight kind of worry for Danny because he's got Davison behind him and it's not his teammate anymore. So Danny does have to kind of get a bit of a move on. But he is going to be right behind Hamjam. But again, it comes down to that. It comes down to the same tools and equipment that everybody's got. It's the same DRS, the same train, it's the same ERS system. Everybody's got the same perks, and that's why we're not seeing anything really happening in turn 1 because everybody's getting the same advantages. Nobody's getting close enough, but they're all getting Bruno Will's left.
Bruno Will is disconnected. Let's try and get him back in as quickly as possible. Yeah, well, I've invited him. That's crucial, that is, for the victory.
That is going to... I mean, if there's ever been an open goal for a win, it's that. There's an open goal here for him and he does take it. Ghoston's on. Through his own teammate, he goes and Bruno Will is just sliding on the order. And Davison's got by DJ Danny. And DJ Danny's out the side. And I think he's locked up and he's went wide. And DJ Danny is locked up and he's went wide at turn 10.
This is crucial for Davison in the championship. This is actually crucial, Riggsy. This is crucial. Because if Davison can win the race and Bruno Will is, down in these positions, he's going to have to get past, and Danny's disconnected as well.
Oh, it's all kind of gone on its heat now, Maldi. DJ Danny's disconnected as well. We need to try and get him in, and that's going to allow Seatside to come up into the podium place. As it stands, DJ Danny's AI is doing extremely well down the straight to keep the P3, but it's just going to get lost there, which we see there. Anti-Mercury as well. So Hamjam takes the lead on lap 29, a 33, and he's on a set of hards. He is outside the DRS detection zone as the intervals just go away on my screen there, so I don't have any information in terms of the gaps. But Hamjam will just be a matter of defending and making sure that third sector's nailed every time. The next 5 times, it goes through that final sector, it needs to be almost inch perfect to make sure Davison does not get a lock in through turn 1. That is all he really needs to do, and this is going to be what I like to call the squeaky bum time of the race for him, because he's got it all today. Everything's on his shoulders. It's just a matter of how he can cope with the pressure, and I'm pretty sure with a driver of his calibre he probably can deal with it. so it's interesting to see what's going to happen.
Davies in then. Looks like he's losing time, Riggsy, but he's in second place. You know, Bruno Will's in 10th at the moment. Oh, not. Oh, and Danny's in the pits. Danny Tracy through.
Oh, he's pitting.
Yeah, he's in the pit lane. That's it.
Oh, and Billy's gone for a move, Maldy. Sorry, I was just scrolling down the order there to see what was.
Oh, ran the outside.
The field.
Murray's going to try and come back at him. No, Riggsy, no, can't do it.
Oh.
There you go. P7 for Billy.
It was the same issue I had with. No issue, it was the same situation I was in with Jamham and Maritz, as we just seen Jamham going round the outside randomly right at the very last moment. It was the same way I jumped on Maritz again, funnily enough. Just jumped on board with him, and then I just seen this blue front wing and a bit of yawns just creeping on the side of the camera, and it was Billy WF just going up the inside saying, I don't care how little space you give me, I'm gone for it. And he did, up into P7. 7? Don't know why I said 7 so weirdly, but we keep going. Billy WF definitely be looking to get some points on the board after what has been, in the nicest respect, not the greatest start to a season for the McLaren driver. He'll definitely be looking to try and pick up where he left off last season as well. It's the same kind of situation with Liberal. Liberal was a race winner last season, strong podium results. Urban Unicorn, formerly Urban Unicorn anyway, WF. He was like a multiple race winner, regular podium sitter, quick driver overall, and he's just really looked like the former self that he was, and I think that really does just come down to the idea that the game isn't really tailored for his style of driving. I think that's the kind of same issue with drivers that we don't really see excelling as much as they did last time. The game can help your driving style or it can hinder it, and I think it's kind of hindered us in a sense. He's still trying to find his groove, and it's really going to eat into his season, and it's going to be detrimental if he can't find any fun soon. But a P7 is 8 points, and that's strong. That's a strong start, better than none, better than 8th, 9th and 10th, so I think he'll take it as they come.
Definitely. Zitzi then is on the back of Davies in Riggsy 4P2. Mercury's following close behind. If these drivers, have a bit of a collision, it's going to be Mercury's podium for the taking here. I'm always backing Mercury. He always seems to, as Danny joins back, he always seems, Mercury, to take advantage of people's mistakes, and that's really good. He makes very little mistakes himself, and when he picks it up, and he does a great job every single week. Currently on 17 lap old hards, Riggsy, so it could be difficult, but I think he can potentially still keep the 4th place out on circuit. Second is Davies in now, 6/10 is the gap. These mediums are going to be coming into their own now, Riggsy.
Definitely the mediums will kind of be hitting it's like a football player when they hit age 28, 29, they kind of hit their peak performance. It's the same with the mediums. Once you've kind of got a bit of wear in and a bit of age in the tyres, they kind of seem to be at their best performing window, and I think that might be the case as they are closing the gap, and Hamjam's just going to see Williams in the background with Renault just tucking in behind, so Hamjam's going out today. He's only got 1 1/3 a lap left. He's only got the 3rd sector and then one final tour of the circuit to Barcelona. So it's so close, but yet it's so far away. It's one of the things, Maldy. Like, you kind of really want the checker flag to be out on this lap, but you need to go again and go for it one final time. A final ride in the Barcelona circuit is going to see Davies and close right up through the final sector, and I think this is his chance, Maldy. He needs to make the move into turn 1 here, or it is pretty much game, set and match, and I know that is the wrong sport, but we're going for one more ride as we're going to go into the 33rd 33 laps of the circuit to Catalunya, and Davies is just tucking up in behind the Mercedes Hamjam. You can see his light on the back of the car just blinking away, saving the energy, just saving just in case he needs a punch out of turn 9. I feel like that will be the only real opportunity left for Davison to make any kind of move, but if he is in this 3/10 a second window, then it is pretty much on as we see some smoke coming off the Mercedes off the front wheel, off the front left once again locking up into turn 5 isn't really the easiest braking zone. It's one of the harder bits. Turn 7 and 8 is arguably a really hard take because the track is a bit off camber and it's a bit unbalanced, but Hamjam does get through turn 9 and Davison does just look that bit further back for a move, and it looks to be sailing for here. And
Dirty air, Rixie. He did not help Davies in there.
And it's just one final tour of the final sector left. The turn 12 and turn 13-14, the chicane for the final time for Ham Jam, and he's going to come out the final corner as a race winner in STB, and he takes it. Checkered flags waving, yellow flags are out, and he takes it, even with penalties unofficially. He is a race winner. Even though it says he's on hards. Oh, he has on hards, because he didn't pit. He did not pit. And his brother's in third, so Jam and Ham brotherly podium. And Davies is in the middle. As Kevin's up to P4. Seats is down to 5th. Billy's up to 6th. Mercury goes down to 7th. Seats say Bruno Will does get 9th after his disconnection at the end. And it's Victor McFly. We were hoping he was going to get some points. We said that in qualifying, but a point is a point nonetheless for the Spaniard on his home patch, so he'll be pretty pleased with that. It was quite a quiet race for the AlphaTauri driver, but I mean, he didn't have the best race last time out in the Netherlands, and I think a point in Spain will definitely help ease any stress if we see Jam Ham getting the driver of the day in the game. So, that's pretty much it. Maldi, the podium celebrations will be kicking off in a moment's time. And we'll be getting our race results.
Rixie, who was your driver of the day today?
Oh, you've put me on the spot, Maldi.
I always do, don't I?
You're quite good at it, but Jam did really good. I understand why the game gave Jam driver of the day. He was quite quiet in the race. He really just kind of got in our faces when he really needed to. It was kind of like one of the things, like, you didn't really hear from him unless he was actually doing something on the circuit, and he was just cutting his way through the field. Didn't have the best qualifying session in P9, and he ends up getting driver of the day and a podium. So I feel like the game would be very much inclined to go along with that. But Ham Jam to get his first win from P3 didn't really look too shoddy once the first pit stop window happened and he was stuck behind CC and Maritz for a bit. But to come back with a late safety car and get the win, I would still maybe give it to his brother. I'd still say Jam was driver of the day. I feel like that's where my vote's going to go.
Okay. Alright, I believe that Davizin isn't able to be interviewed this evening, so we're going to interview Ham Jam, Jam Ham, and Mercury that originally finished in P4. Very good performance on circuit from Mercury today. P4 was his finishing, but P3 was Jam Ham. Jam Ham, we're going to come to you first. Quite a quiet race for you, I think Rixie just said. P9 on the grid, you had very decent, you just a decent race. How do you feel about today's race?
Yeah, I'm pretty buzzing to come out of it with a podium, to be honest. Qualifying, I wasn't best pleased with. I think, to be honest, I should have been sort of net P4 with the other guys starting on mediums, but the off guys just got ahead, I think, me right with them, and then that kind of showed in the race. Just sort of stranded on my own, and then safety car gambled for the mediums, and it paid off because I knew the guys in front had penalties and just kept it clean.
Okay. Ham Jam, you won today's race here in Spain. I won't say lucky, but we was expecting Bruno Will to win the Grand Prix this evening, but you took advantage of the disconnection. How you feeling about the victory, and do you think it's a result that you deserve today?
Cheers. If I'm being honest, I was expecting Bruno Will to win as well, so obviously I feel bad for him, especially when being my teammate. I wasn't expecting to sort of have that pace at the end, but it was very pleasing. I mean, quali was brilliant. Didn't get the best of starts of the race and then got held up slightly in the pits. I knew that if I'd pitted again as well, I might have been held up. So I sort of took the gamble because I saw Bruno Will stayed out. I knew that I'd pace to stay with him, so I was happy just to try and stick with him and get second. But obviously that didn't quite work out. But yeah, I mean, I'm really pleased to obviously get my first win.
Okay. Bruno Will obviously disconnected. Obviously your teammates. How is his performance today damaged? It must put a blow to the good start of the season you've had.
Yeah, we made a really good start. Obviously, we've also not had the best look in a few races, both of us. But I think we still outscored all the other teams. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think obviously it would have been nice to have gotten the 1-2. But yeah, nevertheless, I think it was still some solid points for the team.
Okay. Mercury.
So,
P4 out on circuit. A few penalties. What went wrong today? You had, P4 was in the bag.
probably easy to say what didn't go wrong, to be honest. Probably the worst race I've done in a long time. Very scrappy. Yeah, it felt like my arm was going to fall off midway through the... yeah, not a lot else I can say. It was just a really scruffy race in the end.
Okay. You must be happy about the week break. Do you think that's going to be able, help you to rejuvenate for the next race in Monaco?
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to have a break. I haven't hit my potential this season. I was looking forward to Spain. Spain was one that, yeah, looking at the circumstances, I really see a podium was very much achievable in that race. But yeah, Monaco next week. Not next week, sorry, the week after. So yeah, we'll go again.
Okay, thank you to everyone that took part this evening. Well done to everyone who finished. Well done to your podium finishers, Jam Ham, Ham Jam, and Davizin. Riggsy, thank you for joining me tonight again in the commentary box for Spain. Thank you very much. That then concludes your coverage of the Spanish Grand Prix live from the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia in Spain. Do join Mercury and Gravity for tomorrow's Tier 2 Spanish Grand Prix. And after that, we won't be here next week. The drivers will be on 1 week break. But do join us after, in 2 weeks today, on 2 weeks today, where we go to the Principality of Monaco for Monaco Grand Prix. We'll see you next time.